Okay, ladies and gents, welcome back to part 4 of the Mr. Vintage Radio Control aeroplane build. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that the fuselage is now sort of 90% complete and it's looking really good. And in today's video, I want to move on to how I actually build the wing sections. Before I go on to the wings, I'd just like to show you the fuselage where we're up to yet. So if I turn the camera around, I can just show you. As you can see, like I said, the fuselage is best part finished now. The box section at the front is, completely finished. I've put some more reinforcing pieces on the inside on former F1, F2 inside this box section, F3 and F4. The back section of the fuzz, all the lattice work has now been completed. It's all glued and dried, so that's ready to go. And just to give it a bit of belt and braces, what I'm actually doing is pegging these cross member pieces with a cocktail stick, just to give it some extra strength. If you look closely, if I can just get in a bit with the camera, you can see there on the top a small circle. That is the cocktail stick going down into this vertical stick here. I've done that on every joint, as you can see. See one there, again at the back. So all the vertical ones have been done, and obviously the same on the bottom. I'm now about to move on to the side. As you can see, I've drilled all the holes in the side for the cross pieces for the cocktail stick. That's a 2mm drill. If you look closely, you will see that I've actually offset the hole very slightly. So it's not bang on the center. I've actually gone slightly to the top. Well, that's a better one. You can see that better. Slightly to the top. The reasoning for this is, obviously, this is only 6mm wide. So the target area is quite small, when you're using a pistol drill. What I've done, I've kept the side ones a little bit on the high side, because obviously that will break through the cocktail stick going through the other way. So with me keeping to the high side, it's leaving that amount of cocktail stick in there, so that'll sort of provide adequate strength on the joint. I've done that on all of them. You can see it's slightly above the center line on them all. So all we have to do is use our favorite aliphatic resin. That's what I'm using for this this particular operation. Just put a little dab of glue in the hole. It only needs a tiny little bit. And what I've actually done, this cocktail stick, if it'll focus, this cocktail stick, I've actually sanded it down a little bit, so it's slightly under a 2mm diameter. This is because I want to make it a real easy fit into the hole, like so, just so I can get plenty of glue down into the hole, and just to make for a stronger joint, like so. All I do then is use some side nippers just to nip it off, like so. Obviously I'll be holding this normally, and then when I wipe the excess glue off, you'll just see that that stick is proud. I'm going to leave it at that stage, and when it's dry, just give it a rub over with a sanding block just to blend it in, as I've done on the top. So it's quite an easy operation to do, but it will give a lot of strength to those areas at the back. The only thing remaining to do really on the fuzz is this top area here, which is going to be a hatch. It's a real thick piece of balsa wood that's supplied. It's over 1/2 inch thick. That will go onto the top, and it will be cut off sort of at a very slight angle, probably about a 20-degree angle, something like that. The rest of it is then being used to make the cockpit area. If I zoom in onto the photographs that I took at the show, you can see the cockpit area there. So that one piece of wood is obviously going to make the two parts. I'm going to leave that bit for now until I've got the wings, and I can actually slot the wings into position and just see what I've got to box in for the rest of it. So I'm just holding fire on that at the moment. That's why I'm actually going on to the wing build. So all that's left on the back end of the fuzz is obviously it's going to require some treatments, either some matte varnish or stain or something like, just to make it fuel proof. But also this corner brackets going to go on here, which are these here. This is a picture that I've taken off a real model that was advertised at the show that I bought it from. It's only a bit of bling really, but it sort of sets it off really well. So I've got to make all those brackets and attach it to the fuselage. So that will sort of finish that area off. So moving on to the wing, what I've done now, I've changed the drawing over on my magnetic building board for the wing section, the wing panel. I've covered it in some cling film to protect the plan for when I'm gluing. Just use your normal household cling film, which I pinched out of the kitchen. So the plan is ready to go. As you can see, I've just started to lay out the wing just to familiarise myself with all the parts, making sure that I'm going to get the parts in the right place, because as you can see, some of the wing ribs have been burnt out and some of them are solid. So I'm just making sure that I get the right ones in the right sort of position. None of this is glued at the moment. This is just temporarily sort of slotted together just to give myself a good idea. So as you can see, the leading edge is the same 6mm square, which is on a 45-degree angle, like so. The wing tips are that's a solid balsa block that needs sanding down. The wing tips need some lightning holes drilling in place, which will go in here. Obviously I will do the two parts together, you know, one for the opposite side at the same time, and drill through the pair just to speed up the operation and to make each part identical. Then we've got this big balsa block that's glued onto the front leading edge part, and that's going to be radius down to suit the front of this rib here, and it'll also go over that way. There's also some triangular stock pieces that will go sort of acrosswards here and sort of on the diagonal that way to provide a bit of additional strength. Going to the back, the trailing edge, we've got some 332 balsa here that will be glued on top of the ribs, the same underneath to make a sort of box section. Then it will be joined together there with a web just to give it a bit more extra strength. We've got a trailing edge, balsa trailing edge there, which will be glued onto the back. So that's basically it really. Moving on to the center section, this shows the dihedral brace, obviously to give it some strength across there. Front and back, it's thin plywood there just to give some strength, and you can see the brake lines there and there. This flat portion here will be the portion that sits into the model across this area here. So you can see the wings will go up on the dihedral either side of the fuselage. So that's basically it really. So I hope you've enjoyed this video and a bit of a catch up on where we are. If you do, please like and subscribe, and I'll welcome you back to the future videos where you can see the wing being completed.